Back in 2022, I talked with Ben Vaughn, whose music and radio show I've been a fan of for years. Ben has enjoyed a great career as a performer, songwriter, composer for film and TV, and record producer. He's produced records by Ween, Arthur Alexander, and Charlie Feathers, and also collaborated with Alan Vega, Alex Chilton, and Los Straitjackets. His songs have also been recorded by artists including Marshall Crenshaw, The Morels, and Deer Tick. Needless to say, Ben Vaughn has encountered some colorful characters in his musical journey. His friend Laura Pocatello, who works for Sun Records in Nashville, wrote the names of those colorful characters down and placed them in a hat. Names like Jonathan Richman, Arthur Alexander, Willie Nelson, Nancy Sinatra, and more. So what do they do with those names? Laura selects a few at random and Ben relives the stories. No pre-planning, no filter, just telling it like it was, straight from the hat. The new podcast is called, of course, Straight from the Hat. And on today's episode of Frets, I happily welcome the return of Ben Vaughn.
She said, quote unquote, I love you. Quote unquote, I do. Quote unquote, I need you. And I'll never love nobody but you. She said, I'll never love nobody but you. She said, quote unquote.
Welcome to Frets with DJ Faye, the place to hear great music and interviews with fantastic musicians. Stay tuned. Ben Vaughn, it has been over 3 years since you were on Frets, and a couple of years now since I randomly crossed paths with you walking down Main Street, Santa Monica.
Yeah, that was great. That was a real surprise.
It was so bizarre. I mean, it was just so random, and it seemed like there was like nobody on the street that day, just me and my friend who were waiting on another friend. And just so as I got closer, I was like, "That's Ben." So
yeah,
it was very cool to catch up briefly, and so right in your neck of the woods, I think.
Yeah, well, I spend my time in between two places, Santa Monica. I have a rent-controlled apartment in Santa Monica, which I'll never give up, even after I die. I'm going to hang on to that. and I have a house in the Mojave Desert, so I go back and forth between the two places. And you caught me when I was roaming downtown Santa Monica that day.
Well, the first time you were on the show, we talked a lot about your early years in the Jersey, Philadelphia area, your move to California, your music, not only in bands, but songs you wrote for television. Of course, your show, The Many Moods of Ben Vaughn, which I listen to weekly, one of my favorite shows.
Oh, thank you.
And your show features so many rare gems. I mean, where else are you going to hear Sly Stone yodeling throughout Spaced Cowboy?
That is such a great record.
It is. And you just don't hear that one that often.
No, you don't.
Not often enough. Eh?
No, definitely not.
And now you have a new podcast, Straight from the Hat. And because I've already listened to the first 3 episodes, I know the format. But since I'm already talking too much, I think Ben Vaughn should tell the listeners how the show came to be and what it's all about.
Well, the way it came to be is I was brought in to partake in a reissue project with Sun Records in Nashville. And while working with Sun, I met Laura Pocatello. She was kind of assigned to me to help me through the process of how they do things down there. And we started talking about music, and we realized we both had the same record collections, except that she's much younger than I and wasn't alive when a lot of this music was, first released, which I found intriguing. And then as we continued to talk, we both realized that we have a serious love for the musical history of Sonny Bono.
I love that.
Yeah, and not an ironic one either, like for real. Like Sonny had at least a decade of experience in the music business before Sonny and Cher. He produced a lot of R&B records for Specialty. He started small labels, publishing companies. He worked with Phil Spector, all of this before Sonny and Cher. And she is a Sonny Bono historian, and so am I. So we were meant to meet. And then we continued talking about music. And she found it amusing and interesting that I met and worked with a lot of the people in her record collection, like a lot of the artists that she really loves. And so we were having discussions about that. And we both decided, wouldn't it be cool to write all these names down on little slips of paper and throw them into a hat? And then we turn a tape recorder on, or whatever technology you want to use these days. And she would randomly pull the names out of the hat. And with no preparation at all, I would respond with a story about that person. So we decided, just as a demo, let's record and see what happens. And we ended up recording for 3 hours, and she pulled out something like 21 names. And we were really surprised at like how much we got out of it. And we were amused, but we're always amused by ourselves. So we figured, let's play this for other people and see if we got something. And then the reaction we got was really enthusiastic. And we decided to cut it together and turn it into a podcast, and which we did. And we had these 45-minute episodes. We have 12 of them in the can. And we just landed in the world on January 22nd. 3 episodes are now available, which apparently you've listened to, which I appreciate.
I'm all caught up.
Yeah. And we have a new one. A new one comes out every 2 weeks.
On Thursdays, right? I think.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Well, I love that. I love that Laura, digs old music. I was that way too. I mean, I'm sure you were too, but even at her age, I was really interested in a lot of that stuff. I just thought it was cool that you and Laura bonded over your shared love of Sonny Bono's career. Me being a big fan of girl groups, even from like a young age, I had learned years ago that Sonny and Cher were among the backing vocalists on Be My Baby, one of the greatest songs ever recorded. But I'm sure your knowledge of Sonny's career is probably vast compared to mine.
Yeah, it's and it's not it's not appreciated enough in this world, Sonny's career. And so Laura and I, we bonded because we really feel that the world needs to know more about Sonny Bono. It's a strange thing to bond over, but she also really loves Bob Lind and really likes Rob McEwen and all these people. And I've met and worked with all these people, So it was a natural thing for there to be an oral history of my experiences with these people, and not only just my experiences, but like our mutual appreciation of them to be recorded too. So not only is my experience with these artists part of the podcast, but her appreciation of them is very interesting as well. So we're kind of promoting these people we love.
That's good. I love that you're doing that. Well, 2 more things, because I'm not ready to walk away from Sonny Bono yet, but just 2 quick things.
Oddly enough, neither am I.
Well, another early 60s favorite of mine is Needles and Pins, co-written by Sonny and Jack Nitzsche. Jackie DeShannon claims she contributed to the writing as well. I don't know, your thoughts on that?
That's a controversy.
I thought so.
that will never be solved.
Right.
I will say this though: the Needles and Pins, kind of invented folk rock, and it was before folk rock. Like if you hear what they're doing with that song, and then listen to what the Byrds did like a year later, it kind of invented that thing that led to "I Got You, Babe" by Sonny and Cher, really, which is a folk rock / Phil Spector Wall of Sound record. It all begins with Needles and Pins, that kind of jangly thing. And just as a guitar player, actually I have a guitar right here. I'll show you what I mean. Hopefully it's in tune, but this whole
absolutely.
That folk rock is based on that. And it began with Needles and Pins. So I rest my case.
Well, yeah. And I'm so glad you talked about that, because I've mentioned this to people before. There's at least 3 songs that have that, the Needles and Pins. What you just played is, you hear it in Needles and Pins, you hear it on Feel a Whole Lot Better by the Byrds. I contend that you hear it on Michael Nesmith, on the Monkees, Tapioca Tundra. Go back and listen to Tapioca Tundra, and you hear that same hook. It's great.
I think it's also the Love version of Hey Joe.
Oh yeah, I would agree.
Or maybe the Leaves. It might be the Leaves version of Hey Joe. That was the lick, and there are only two chords you can play it on, either an A or a D.
D is how
It's a
I usually play. So,
yeah, that was A, what I did. It's a suspended fourth, and folk rock is based on that. And Sonny Bono and Jack Nitzsche, it would not have been possible without those guys.
yeah. The last thing I want to say about Sonny, I love that the Skeletons covered his song "Laugh at Me" with Lou Whitney on vocals.
Oh, I love that record.
Yeah,
I love
is.
their cover of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on "In the Flesh."
And that's a great song too, Sonny Bono, because he mentions the man upstairs
Yes.
in that song, which is like my favorite nickname for God.
It's perfect.
It's the man upstairs.
And it's very Lou Whitney too. So yeah.
Yeah. It fit him perfectly. Even though Sonny wrote that, he was inspired to write that when he got kicked out of a fancy restaurant for looking weird.
Right. But you can just hear that's something. It's a thing Lou Whitney would say. But yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to talk about Plug. Plug makes it easy for you to purchase the personal technology you need at 40 to 70% off retail pricing. What can you get from Plug? Certified pre-owned devices including iPhones, Androids, AirPods, Macs, smartwatches, accessories, and more. I originally didn't even want an Apple Watch, but I got one from Plug and I love it. I wear it every day. Your purchase is backed by their unmatched 1-year warranty and 30-day money-back guarantee. One more very cool thing, Plug is dedicated to helping reduce e-waste around the globe. To date, Plug has helped save over 1 million devices from reaching landfills, and they're looking to double that number by 2025. Link to Plug Tech from the show notes, and check out all the great deals and savings on certified pre-owned devices. Plug Electronics. Check it out. Well, you always have a lot of great stories and trivia about songs that you play on The Many Moods. And I'm loving that you go into even greater detail about songs and bands and artists on Straight from the Hat. There have already been a lot of revelations to me on the show. Some of those are ones I feel I should have known since I'm always looking up the backstory on bands and musicians. But I was unaware that Ed King, the same Ed King of Lynyrd Skynyrd, was the guitarist in Strawberry Alarm Clock.
Yes. See, we should get an educational grant for this podcast based on that piece of information. I've had so many people say that to me, and it's a mind blower to me because I thought everybody knew that. But Ed King was in Strawberry Alarm Clock. He's on Incense and Peppermints.
Yeah.
And then he ended up in Lynyrd Skynyrd, and he was a Southern California guy, so he was not a guy from Tallahassee, Florida.
Right. Well, if you ever mentioned that bit of trivia on Many Moods, I guess I missed it, but yeah, it was just that was news to me, and I was like, wow, I gotta look all this up. Well, I'm already sort of anticipating or maybe guessing at least a few of the bands and artists that might pop up on Straight from the Hat. And I realize you might prefer to just keep listeners in suspense about who might come out of the hat. But I know we discovered a while back that you and I have a shared love of the Kinks. We have a shared love of Brinsley Schwartz. I don't know. All that to say, I'm just kind of waiting just to see because it's, I love what you've done so far. And I just know there's going to be some real gems that pop up and come out of the hat.
Yeah, and it's random too because we have a lot of names that were in the hat and a lot of names that have not been picked out yet. So it wasn't chosen in any kind of order of priority or headliners and then opening acts or anything. It was like whatever she picked out is what I talked about. So some of the names that I know a lot about haven't even been picked out yet. So it looks like we're probably going to go into a second season of this or whatever you want to call it in the podcast world. I'm not sure. But because the reaction has been really good. We're getting a really good reaction. So we're probably going to keep recording new episodes, and eventually one of your favorites or someone's favorites will be chosen.
Right. Well, I love all the posts of you playing songs out in the wilderness. I just get such a bang out of seeing those pop up in your feed. Would you say most of those are from like a running list of ideas you have or that pop into your head? Or are they sometimes just very impulsive and you think, I'm going to go grab my guitar and go out and do a video out in the outdoors?
Well, it depends on how windy it is.
Oh.
Really.
That would be a factor.
Because Oh yeah, because the distortion you get, and it gets windy out there a lot. So if I wake up in the morning and I go and I walk out and it's not windy, I'm like, ooh, I'm going to record a song before it gets windy. So it's definitely weather inspired.
Okay.
So anytime you see me standing out in behind my house with miles of nothing behind me, because I'm seriously, my house, once you go 1 mile east of my house, electricity ends for 80 miles.
Oh, wow.
I am at the end of the grid, completely at the end of the grid. And you can't see my nearest neighbors. You really can't. I'm really out there. I'm not there right now. Right now I'm in Santa Monica. But yeah, so it's funny that happened. That started during lockdown because I'm a performer. I've been performing since I was 12 years old. And my entire life, the interaction between myself and audiences has been part of my life. And when lockdown happened, that was not here for performers. We were all of a sudden confronted with the fact that, wow, we're not going to do any gigs, and it looks like it's going to be for a long time. And people started posting videos, and they were working out the kinks. I wasn't there yet. I wasn't ready, but they were working out the kinks as far as what kind of background they were going to use and everything. And I was thinking the same thing too. And then all of a sudden I thought, hold it. I have the entire desert. I have a natural background.
Yeah, what a great backdrop.
And when it's not windy, the acoustics are completely flat. There's no reverberation at all. So I don't need a fancy mic. I can just use the microphone on the phone. And this natural background that's real. It looks like a painting, but it's really real. And just walk out there and sing a song and put it on the internet. So I was really lucky that I had a natural outdoor studio for my videos, and it was fun to do.
It works great, and I really enjoy those. Yeah, it's funny, I guess, when I first started this podcast was very shortly after all of that, after lockdown, and a lot of the conversation would turn to, guests on the show talking about how they dealt with it. Some of that being, just kind of posting from their home or whatever, but also they were all collaborating. They would record one thing and then Dropbox it to another musician they were working with, and they kept kind of going the best way they could. Or, some of them even doing like online Zoom, videos with split screen and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a very bizarre period.
It's hard to believe it even happened.
Yes, it is.
I think that as a culture, we are choosing not to remember what that was like. Every now and then I'll have a conversation with someone, and lockdown comes up, and then we look at each other like, hold it, did that really happen, or was that some kind of weird shared dream?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem like it was real, especially now, because we're all back to doing. I never thought we would be back to doing the same stuff we did before lockdown. It seemed like life was over forever. At least a social life. We're going to gigs. Like I was at a gig, it was so packed, and I was thinking, wow, there was a moment where I thought I'd never be in a room with this many people.
Yep, right.
Without masks on. So it's cool. We're back.
Tell me, how does a heart that's broken ever mend? Asking for a friend. And how many days with nights that never end? Asking for a friend. Asking for a friend.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hey, Dave, how long have you been a Euclid Records customer?
Believe it or not, about 30 years.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I used to go there in the late 90s.
That's amazing. Well, you know what? 2026 is our 45th anniversary in St. Louis, and our New Orleans store is turning 15.
The NOLA store is cool, but the St. Louis store has 2 floors of used and new vinyl and CDs.
And every genre you can think of. You can shop in the store 7 days a week or on the website 24/7. We have our own shipping department, so anything you buy from us is lovingly mailed out by us.
When I buy from the website, I use the free local pickup option.
Yes, and we've also done some special orders for you. We do whatever it takes to get music in your hands. One thing, though, that you haven't done with us is sell your collection. We're always buying vinyl and CDs and cassettes for cash or trade. We even travel to someone who has over 1,000 titles in their collection.
So how does one partake in the Euclid Records experience?
Well, our St. Louis store is at 19 North Court Avenue in Webster Groves. You can check out our website, euclidrecords.com, every day to see the latest new and used arrivals, plus events. We share that on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook as well. And remember, we ship worldwide, so no matter where a Frets listener is, there's Euclid Records.
Hello, I'm Ben Vaughn, the host of The Many Moods of Ben Vaughn and Straight from the Hat, a brand new podcast. And you are listening to Frets with DJ Fay.
Well, even with your very busy schedule, now hosting 2 podcasts, you've continued to write and record music and still play live gigs now that we, like you said, can again. And this is going back a couple years now, I think. But you went to Hawaii for a gig. I think The Many Moods airs on an AM station in Hawaii. And did that have something to do with that gig?
No, I'm not on the air in Hawaii. I'm on the air in Alaska.
Oh,
but I did play in Hawaii for the first time. And you know, it's funny. In the last 2 years, I finally went to Alaska and Hawaii, 2 places. That's the only 2 states, because I used to tour a lot back in the 80s and early 90s. And I've played in every state. I've been to every state except for Alaska and Hawaii. And now those, I'm done, you know. But yeah, my radio show is on 2 stations in Alaska, and one of them is on AM. And I went up there to visit those stations and hang out. Have you ever been to Alaska?
I have not. I've been to Hawaii one time, but no, I've never been to Alaska.
It's great up there. It's like 1979. It's almost 1980 up there. Just, you know, the decor, what the buildings look like, the interior and exterior buildings, just feels like America felt right before 1980. It's hard to describe, but I really like it. And people are so friendly up there. So friendly.
I would imagine when I think of Alaska, I think of Northern Exposure, and that's the kind of people I imagine living there.
That is not that far off.
Yeah, great show.
Yeah.
Well, more recently, last year, you did a show with Peter Holsapple at the Palms.
That was great. I hadn't seen Peter in, I don't know how long. It had been probably since the early 90s. We had not been in the same room together. We've been communicating on Facebook and appreciating, you know, each other, you know. I love that guy. You know, what's really great about his new record is he sounds so young on that record. His voice shows no signs of being, you know, older than he was when he recorded with the DBs back in the day. And he plays a lot of lead guitar on that record too. It's a great record.
You know, The Face of 68. I would absolutely agree. It's a great record. Well, Peter has also been on Frets twice now, and I absolutely love talking with him. He has so many great stories and always tells them with such enthusiasm. You can tell he really just truly loves not only playing music, but he's somebody that like talks about his favorite bands with such like passion. I mean, he's so into so many bands, and just what a great guy. I could talk to him all day.
Yeah, we discovered something about each other. We were both members, we both ended up as a temporary member of Gun Club and Panther Burns.
Oh.
I was the drummer for Gun Club one night, And I was the drummer for Panther Burns one night, and he played guitar, I believe, in both of those groups, but only one night. Only one night. It was like, call Holsapple, call Vaughn. Like, it's like you either call Holsapple or Vaughn when you're in trouble. We show up, It was an interesting thing to find out about each other. But playing a show with him was great. He was so good live and played that new material. And it was really great seeing him again.
Yeah, I would love to see him play a show. Actually, the last time I ever saw him perform was when the Continental Drifters were still going, and I saw them at a small club in St. Louis here.
That's a long time ago.
I know, so I really am behind on seeing Peter play live.
Yeah.
When you hear Hello Susie by The Move, and it's like, oh man, that's just the best. And so, like, Rittenhouse did half of the Shazam album, including Cherry Blossom Clinic Revisited, note for note. And we did it great. We did it really great. And I think that there's people that know those records simply because we played them.
My talk with the one and only Peter Holsapple is available on Frets.
Love is the answer to the question, but thanks for the suggestion. I know I don't get it all.
Well, what's coming up for Ben Vaughn? Any other new projects or tours or albums in the works, or do you have enough going on as it is with the shows?
Well, I recorded an album that's coming out in October where I'm backed up by a band called Deer Tick.
Oh, yeah.
They're pretty popular indie rock band from Rhode Island. And I went up to their studio in Rhode Island, and they backed me up, and we cut an album. And it's coming out in October, and I'm going to be back on the road in America. I'll probably be coming to St. Louis. I know I'll be coming to St. Louis at some point and playing shows. I haven't toured America in a really, really long time. And I tour in Europe a lot. I have a popularity over there that has stayed with me, like a loyal audience. And but America, I haven't done much touring. So I'm going to be out on the road starting in October with a brand new record.
That's great. I'm excited to hear that, and look forward to a fall show in St. Louis, which would be fantastic. Yeah. Well, Ben Vaughn, it is always a pleasure talking to you, whether it be over the phone or on a sidewalk in Santa Monica.
Yeah, same. I hope to see you again in person soon.
Yeah, St. Louis.
Yeah, St. Louis or Santa Monica, one or the other.
Yeah, I get out there occasionally, so it just might be walking down Main Street. And
Santa is Spanish for saint, so Santa Louis.
Yes.
Saint Monica.
Absolutely. Well, Ben, thanks so much.
You are welcome. I really enjoyed it. Take care. All right, bye.
Speed this locomotive on the railroad line and tell the driver, man, I ain't got much time. There's a little lady waiting down the track. I'm on my way to meet her and I'm not turning back. Hurry on, mister, 'cause I just learned my reservation's been confirmed.
You can hear Straight from the Hat on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, or your platform of choice. You can also listen on the website, straightfromthehat.com, where you can find additional information on each great episode. Thanks for listening to Frets with DJ Faye. You can subscribe for free at YouTube, where you'll find extras including videos as well as YouTube shorts. Stay tuned.
I am a radio professional.
Hey, you're no Smith Harrison, but you're.
I do. He's a real guy. He's a real guy.
All right. You know what?
If I could play like him, I would tell everybody how great I was all day long. I wouldn't be able to hide it. I'd be so excited to be that good on guitar. I would just, hey man, listen to this.
He's so fantastic.